As one of the nation's federally designated organ procurement organizations, LiveOnNY is dedicated to saving lives, providing comfort, and strengthening legacies through organ, eye, and tissue donation. The work of LiveOnNY is focused on the New York metropolitan area, which, as we all know, is no small feat. Joining us today to talk about the efforts to save lives through organ and tissue donation is Senior Manager for Community and Government Affairs, Scott Wall. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Let's start off with the name, LiveOnNY. It's a cool name, but it's new.
Relatively new, a few years back. I think a lot of the different organ procurement organizations went through a process of kind of taking a look at their name and what did it inspire, what kind of message was it sending, what did it generate in the community. And certainly our organization, formerly the New York Organ Donor Network, it was no different. And went this direction where you see LiveOnNY, because that really, while at first may be a little bit confusing to some folks, it clearly describes our ambition and what we do on a daily basis better than anything could. Basically, every day we help the folks that we work for to live on. And that's how we treat it, and that's how we convey it. We live on New York.
And that's why we appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
For sure. Tell us what LiveOnNY does each day to further the mission, to expand that footprint.
Sure. And just like our host this weekend, New Jersey Sharing Network, as an organ procurement organization, we do basically three different things, I would say. The first would be advocate. We advocate on behalf of the 107,000 people across the United States who are on the wait list, specifically maybe 8,000 to 9,000 in New York State. And we really do try to raise awareness to make sure that people understand that they're waiting. This is their second chance at life. That this is not to be hyperbolic or to exaggerate, but these folks really do need that life-saving transplant. So we like to kind of highlight and raise the awareness around what it is that they're going through. We also advocate on behalf of, I think, people in the community who may not know that they could qualify for a transplant. We have, like you mentioned, a very difficult service area that we work within, as far as not a lot of folks have exposure to or the education of the transplant system. So we like to try and make people who may be qualify or whose life could be improved for a transplant to be aware of that option and that opportunity for them.
Can you tell us about LiveOnNY's programming and events that help educate the community and connect those in the greater New York metropolitan area to understand, like you said, how can they be an organ donor? Do they qualify? Sure. How important are those things?
Yeah, and I think it ties into your first question as far as, in addition to advocate, so some of the things we do when we're in the communities, we celebrate. We like to celebrate the folks who have received that life-saving gift, whether it be through organ, tissue, eye donation, as well as we certainly like to celebrate the folks on the donation side. Living donors, which I believe is the theme for today, but also deceased donors and the donor families. They or their families made very difficult, very selfless decisions. So we like to highlight them as best we can within the community to really raise awareness that just signing up to be an organ donor is so much more than that. You're actually becoming a part of something, again, helping other New Yorkers to live on.
I like that you said that you guys celebrate, because that's what we do here at the Transplant Games. We celebrate, and LiveOnNY is a great partner this year with us. And what's it like to know that you're part of the greatest celebration of life out there that goes on throughout the world?
That's a difficult one to put into words, I think. I mean, it's every day is just an exciting new adventure. Really, again, and we try not to get to exaggerate as far as the importance we feel that we play in this, but we are constantly reminded of the role that we do play. The organization LiveOnNY is very, very much committed to making sure that all members of the team, 250, 300 of us, however many there may be, are constantly reminded of the people, again, whose lives we've saved on a daily basis through our efforts, as well as to again, honor those who have been on the donation side. So again, it's actually very easy to stay motivated, to stay committed and connected to the purpose, because the organization as a whole really does a lot to make sure we feel connected and feel a part of that team.
I would agree. This environment, if you can't be motivated in this environment, I don't know where else you could be. Sure. It's such a very unique and community and family type of environment that I feel so fortunate to be a part of myself. What do you think the Transplant Games and how do you think the Transplant Games impact those in the transplant community that you work with?
I'm sure that it's come up over the past couple of days, and it'll come up again. I mean, one of the most important things it does is to inspire. These are folks, again, whose health was deteriorating, regardless of what pace or what rate, that their health was deteriorating. The future was uncertain for them. And these are now people who are committing. These are competing in competitions. Several members of our team now, I have a fellow who I work with on a daily basis. He bikes 100 miles a day, a heart transplant recipient just maybe 2 years ago. Oof. So I think
I don't drive that much a day, by the way, just so you know.
So I think, number one, it really does go to inspire the community. but also what it really does is it brings the community together, allows a lot of people who have similar life experiences who can actually can commiserate, but also celebrate together and discuss the way that life goes on for them day by day. And I think this past 18 months, especially as far as the different circumstances that many of our participants and team members have had to face, being immunocompromised and concerned about being out in public and what lied ahead of them, the opportunity to interact as a team has been beneficial, I think, as well.
So I know you're familiar with the games, but is there something in particular that you're looking forward to see or to experience throughout this weekend?
I have to say, it may just be this moment, the fact that we're here. I mean, there was so much confusion going back 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. Are the games on? Are the games off? Okay, the games have been canceled. No, they've just been postponed. Okay, 2021 is right around the corner. Let's gear up. And then again, are they going to be canceled? What's going to happen? They may be canceled. They're postponed. Oh, we're going to take this virtual. We're going to allow folks to still participate remotely, virtually, however we can. We're going to allow that sense of community to remain. So honestly, this moment right now is probably the moment I've been looking forward to most, because there was so much uncertainty if we would ever get here. And I have to absolutely throw out props. I'm absolutely blown away by the team from New Jersey Sharing Network, as well as Bill Ryan and the folks who help run the games, but Elise Glennon specifically. We have monthly meetings where she kind of keeps, throughout all of this for the past 18 months, has kept the team motivated, focused, and invigorated. So I think our hosts, New Jersey Sharing, really do deserve a tremendous round of applause from all of us.
Yes, I would agree. They're fantastic. They do a great job. And like you said, especially in the times that we were in and that we're actually still in, to get the games up and running, and in the capacity in which they're running right now, where people are on the hub right now, not only watching us in American Dream, but across the world. And we get to share what we're experiencing here locally with those who actually get it. They know what they're tuning into. They know the feels that go on between this community. And a good feel is actually Team Gotham. Team Gotham, the name. We got to talk about that one.
Sure.
But they're on their home turf now.
Correct.
So that's pretty cool for them too, to be able to experience that at home.
It was a really great transition. This is really the only second time that we've participated in the games from an organizational perspective. First time for Team Gotham, as you mentioned. We just couldn't help but kind of leverage that New York City feel and vibe, and felt sort of like, not necessarily like Dark Knights, but underdogs, because again, we're being a newer team to the games. We had a lot to build at, and we felt in our minds a lot to prove. So the ability to be able to do that in your backyard, just to be able to look out across the river and see actually some of our buildings and some of our homes, has been phenomenal. And again, we wear it as a badge of honor, actually, the Dark Knight. We do have the bats on our uniforms. So I think everybody, again, feels that obligation now to really represent the city.
And it's their second games, like you said. Mm-hmm. And when the games are actually in your home market, I think it changes your entire perspective of what they are and the magnitude of the reach. What you get to meet the people and be a part of that community. Because if they're somewhere else and you don't get an opportunity to experience that feel, now you're home. Now you get to see the people, talk to the people, feel the embraces, and yeah, even it tugs on your heartstrings at times to hear other people's stories, but to know that they sympathize and they understand where you're coming from. I think that is part of what these games do when they go to different markets, and those local markets. It almost, like you said, it strengthens them. It gives them that extra fervor to keep going, and we'll see what happens next. Bring them out next year as well, and keep on, and so on and so on. And is there anything, any maybe type of inspiring story that comes from your team that maybe you want to share with everyone?
I guess this is the part where you sound like a jerk and say they're all inspiring stories.
No, you're absolutely right.
But in reality, I mean, it is amazing, this group of people. I think our team maybe at this point remains at about 70 people. And this group of 70 individuals, each one of them has a different pathway that got them to this point, a different story. Some that jump out maybe from some of our original members. We had a father and son pairing team. The father donated his kidney to his son many, many years ago. Actually, 26 years ago now, or 27 years ago.
Sweet.
They celebrated the quarter century when we went to Utah 3 years ago now. So that's a phenomenal, but it goes so much deeper. We have on our team a couple, they met as volunteers, volunteering for our organization, both organ recipients, and are now married, actually, because of their connection to transplant.
Crazy how things work out.
Really is.
Thank you for everything you do. Like we said at the top, it's no small feat to be working in this market in particular. It's a huge market. with a huge demand as well.
Sure.
And what you and your team do, it really sets the bar. So thank you for what you've done, what you continue to do, for being part of these games and sharing stories with us. And we look forward to seeing you and your team join us at American Dream, hanging out with the entire community and expanding that footprint. Thanks so much, Scott. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
More coming. Hang tight.